have access to that link so that she can post that as appropriate. Ask you as we're going through any program related questions. I'm going to ask you to put into the chat. I think when Dave gets to his part and walking through actually the system and how you access eCivis, how you get into the portal and look at an application, I think it'd be all right if you ask questions as he goes, so you don't lose a question getting further down the line in particular steps. Same with my piece here. I'm going to walk through a couple of slides talking about why we're making the move to eCivis, why grants management is important for the state of Indiana, why this is a matter of good government, and then turn over to David. So please feel free to interrupt as we're going, but ask you to drop those program-related questions into the chat so those can be shared and the answers can be specifically shared with folks that are not on the call today. Okay, and with that, I'm going to share my screen. There we go. All right. So to begin, our purpose today is to provide an introduction to eCivis. I know that the application has been open for a while. Hopefully you all have had some time to go through and take a look at it. We're going to talk a little bit more, just kind of big picture on what this is all about, because it's all a part of a larger initiative that we have branded Next Level Grants Management. It's an initiative to improve how Indiana manages grants coming out of the Indiana Office of Management and Budget, and here specifically the state budget agency where David and I work. We are both part of the grants management team. We are a part of a team of 6 people. The build out of that team was also a part of Next Level Grants Management so that agencies and state grant recipients have resources in the form of people to talk through different aspects of eCivis to help you understand what to do, to put training materials together, and so forth. Part of that effort was also a built-out website, which we will share with you today. And so you can see resources available to you for training purposes, and then the newsletters and such also that help you to keep informed. All of it is a part of improving how we manage grants. And today is the piece of introducing you to eCivis as that component, that big component of that initiative. Our agenda, my part, 3 pieces. Why is grants management important? What is eCivis and what does it mean for all of you as state grant recipients? And then what support resources are available. And then after that, I'll turn over to David. So first, why is grants management important and what is this thing we call eCivis? Kind of wrapping that question all into one place. What we're trying to do here is to more efficiently and more effectively manage the grants that Indiana distributes. Now, the major piece of this relates to federally funded grants, right? There are responsibilities put on state agencies as pass-through entities to subrecipients that federal law requires in terms of subrecipient monitoring and grant closeout procedures. That has been the major piece of it, but it applies to state-funded grants as well. So really the big piece here is this second bullet where we talk about federal and state compliance, both of those 2 sub-bullets. We have over 40 agencies that distribute grants in one way or another. What we don't want to have is a situation where each of those 40 agencies has a different way of managing those grants. A very inefficient way of doing things. And if we're trying to maximize our ability to manage grants well, we don't want to have 40 different ways of doing it. So by moving into the eCivis platform, we are standardizing how we manage grants. So you move from one agency to the next. The underlying fundamental way of managing those grant funds is the same. Gains efficiencies when you have staff move from one agency to the next. Yes, they'll have to learn the ins and outs of a particular program, right? Because if they go from IoT over to DNR or maybe to the Department of Education, there'll be different lingo to learn and different program objectives to learn. But the process for managing the grants themselves, the grants management systems and procedures will be the same, okay? That's the benefit of the standardization. That's the benefit of mitigating turnover. We have less of a learning curve when folks go from one agency to the next because the process for managing grants is the same. The tool is the same. We can have confidence that it will be efficiently administered because the process is the same. It also has a benefit when folks leave the state entirely, right? Any agency, any organization has issues with institutional knowledge when a staff leaves, right? So Sally leaves. Well, we need to figure out what Sally had in her email inbox. Where did she put that particular email? Where does that particular grant stand in its process of management? Where did Sally keep her documents? We're going to get into her OneDrive up in the cloud or onto her hard drive even. Where do we go find the documents related to a particular grant so that her replacement, when Joe comes in, Joe can just pick things up and go? eCivis helps to mitigate the loss of that institutional knowledge because we save the documents related to managing that grant in eCivis. We have communication archives and history, or approval history in eCivis. So when somebody leaves, when Sally goes on and enjoys a well-earned retirement, Joe can step in, go into eCivis and see right where that grant stands in its status, right? That's the benefit in the form of good government of standardizing a tool, mitigating the impacts of turnover. It also allows us to streamline the grants life cycle and the grants management process. It's really been fun to watch as we have implemented eCivis over the course of now over a year. The number of conversations that have spun off of how do I use eCivis into what does this mean for our agency's systems? When are we going to do what? Who's going to take care of this step? Because we're going to do it in eCivis, but who is going to do it? And what does it mean for our communication channel internally? It really has caused agencies themselves and agencies with SBA and SBA itself to examine the processes that we have in our standard operating procedures and to streamline that. We also streamline the communication channels by putting everybody in eCivis, grants, finance, and program staff all in one place to make things simpler. So really trying to squeeze efficiencies out of how we manage grants. All of this, all of these benefits of moving into a statewide grant system is all about good government. It's about being good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, the funds that Hoosiers have entrusted us to manage effectively for the betterment and the advancement of our state. So what is eCivis? It is a statewide grants management system. It is an online system that will track grants from application to closeout. From the moment that an agency decides that it wants to put together a grant program to the moment that that grant program is completed. Agencies are required to use eCivis to manage state and federal grants. So this is not an optional sort of situation. Everybody is required to use it by SBA regulation. It is how we get the funding sources and the approvals and the internal machinations for agencies to be able to access the funds that are then distributed to grant recipients. It's also where agencies will build solicitations and applications, review those applications, issue the award decisions, everything related to managing that grant from building the application to closing it out at the end of the day. What will it mean for state grant recipients? Well, you'll access the solicitation, which hopefully you have already seen, either via our website or via a private link. This one, I believe, is on I know is on our website. You click on that link, David's going to show you where you go from there. Applications, you'll submit those electronically through what's called the eCivis Grants Portal. That is your door as a grant recipient into the eCivis Grants Management System. You get your award notice via eCivis. That actually comes via an email with a link into eCivis. And then you're going to manage your activities with IoT in eCivis, activity reports, reimbursement requests, and then when the grant is all finished up, all those things that you need to do to close it out. Okay, so this is going to be the world that you will live in. When it comes to the substance of a particular grant program, it's going to be familiar types of information. When it comes to how you are sharing that information, it's going to be very similar. You'll hear me say a couple of times and David say a couple of more times that if you have purchased birthday gifts off of Amazon, you can handle eCivis, right? It's very intuitive and user-friendly, particularly in the world that we live in now with the amount of interaction we do in online environments. What supports do we have for you? We've spent a lot of time building out training materials and user guides, different ways of of helping to bring resources to bear for you. I think David will walk you through the website itself, but I want to just do is show you in a snapshot here of what we have there. We have really tried to provide materials that meet folks where they are in terms of their preferred learning process. Some folks like to look at the thick encyclopedic tomes of information that we call user guides. We have those. Some folks prefer the quick reference sheets that are 2 or 3 pages in length and can quickly tell you the answer to a particular question, helps you to get there more quickly. Some folks like videos. They need to hear and see something demonstrated for their benefit. For me, I'm somebody that will go to the user guide, but if I can't find the answer quickly, then, or if it's unclear, then I want to have a dialogue. I like to have that interaction, part of my extroverted nature. So I like getting into an office hours setting or doing hands-on workshops like this, so I can have some back and forth with somebody who knows more than I do. And truth be told, I don't spend a lot of time in user guides. I usually quickly go to somebody, ask some questions, ask them to go through the user guides to help me get to where I need to go. In terms of talking with someone, we have 3 different kinds of questions, right? Program-related questions, well, that's going to be IoT staff. It's going to be Karen and her folks that are going to be able to explain what a particular question is asking, right? Or how, if you have, how do I answer this particular question substantively? That's an IoT staff question. That's a Karen question. If it's a question that's functional, if it's related to the functionality of eCivis and how we are using it, then that's a question for our grants management team here at State Budget Agency, right? How are we using this particular field, or how do I submit an application, right? Those functional questions, that's us. Technical questions, if you're clicking on a link and it's just not doing what it's supposed to, we know how systems work. Sometimes they have moments where they get glitchy. That's a technical question. That's an eCivis customer support team. Now, we have a constant flow of communication with the eCivis customer support team. We meet with them on a weekly basis. And frankly, sometimes whether a question is functional or technical can be a little bit fuzzy. So you reach out to us if it's not a functional question and we need to get the customer support team at eCivis into the conversation, then we help to coordinate and make that happen. Okay? So at the end of the day, lots of different ways, lots of resources to help you be successful in obtaining the money that you need in order, in this case, to clean up and perfect the data that you are collecting on behalf of the citizens that you serve. And we're here to help you do that. All right, and with that then, I will stop my screen share and turn things over to David.
All right, thank you very much, Dan. And I even remembered to unmute my mic, which I'm terrible about doing now. Sit there and speak and nothing be coming out. So we have a really small audience today, you guys. So we can really cater things towards what you want to see. And so what I'm going to do is walk you through the website, show you the resources we have there, how you can access eCivis portal. That's your guys' door to these grant opportunities. And then go through the different resources that Karen has built to help you see what to fill out during the application, your budget, and then a little bit even too on the awarded side. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, cool. Hopefully you guys all see the SBA website here. And so, like I said, I'm going to walk you through the website, show you some of the resources we have here, and then we're going to dive into the application itself. So here is the SBA website. It's easy to find, www.in.gov SBA. And the meat of the potatoes of our website is right here under grants level or next level grants management. That's where when you hit this, it's going to open up all the different resources we've built actually for the state agencies themselves to utilize eCivis. And then for you guys, the applicants, soon to be subrecipients, when you get your awards, the resources we have there to help you guys too. So we have right off the top, the eCivis login guidance. And so what's nice about this is it has the resources for the state agencies. That's Karen and her group. They actually build their solicitations in on their side of eCivis. Then you guys would be the applicants, subrecipients. And that's the terminology we use on the website and refer to in the SBA user guides and things of that nature, is a subrecipient or an applicant. So When you see those terms, that's you guys. That's the audience that we're referring to. And so here we have the login to the portal at eCivis. So if you need to get there to create your account, or you forget how to get there, you can always get there from here. But what I wanted to point this out too is that there's an issue sometimes if you're using Apple computers. If you're a Safari user, which I personally like, there's a bit of an issue sometimes with some of the older versions of it, that you'll need to uncheck the prevent cross trafficking when you log into eCivis in the portal over there. So if you guys happen to run into an issue, if you're using a Safari, a web browser with Apple, please refer back to our eCivis login guidance page, and it's going to help you with that issue. Okay. Um, and also, speaking of resources, as Dan said, and we'll get more into the user guides, but I also want to point out another really nice thing that we do here at SBA, and that's our grants management workshops. We put on these workshops so we can have one-on-one dialogue with people on a set cadence and a set schedule for how we want to help applicants and state agencies. So Karen and her group would attend our state agencies office hours, which are the first and third Thursday at 12 o'clock. And again, you guys are what we refer to as applicants or subrecipients. And we have a special office hour set up for the applicant subrecipients to walk them through the process. And that's going to be on the first and third Thursdays of each month too, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And we're going to start with basically showing you guys what is the portal. How do I get into the portal? How do I fill out my application? And then we're going to have what about accepting your award? How's that going to look? How am I going to be able to accept the award, submit my financial reports and things of that nature? And then we close out the three-part series with amendments, actually closing out those things. And so this is a great resource, you guys, so that you can come here and actually have one-on-one dialogue with an instructor. Most times it's actually me. But you can also follow the flow of creating the account, submitting the application, accepting your awards, submitting financial reports. So as you get further and farther into your grant process, you can always come back to these office hours, and they're great for being able to, like I said, see one-on-one stuff about what's going on, ask any questions you have specifically about issues you might be having, as opposed to going through the user guides to try and find those things. Great resource. Really like you guys to take advantage of that. And then speaking of the resources for contacting people, we always have our contact grants management team too as well. And by clicking on this, we'll give you the link for non-state employees, which would be you guys. Remember, you're the applicants, subrecipients. So by clicking here, we'll give you the information so you can submit tickets to us, and then we can get directly back to you. And as Dan mentioned, if you're having an issue with maybe, I forget, David, how you submit the financial report. That's a great question to ask to me. If your question is what goes into that financial report, what kind of documentation do you need? That'd be maybe more of a question you'd want to ask the IoT folks. But always feel free to submit your questions to us, and then we can help divert those to the proper groups so they get those answered for you. So great resource. You can always go to the workshops for assistance. You can come to the grants management team page so you can submit questions to us, so we can help you with any issues you're having during the entire process. So let's go back to grants management. This is the big meat and potatoes. This is the place where we have all the information for you guys. So just remember, when you open up grants management level, or excuse me, next level grants management, that's where all these resources are going to be found. The biggest one that I want to highlight for you guys here is our resources for subrecipients. Okay. This is this is you guys. Okay. This is the terminology we're going to use. So sometimes people can be referred to as subgrantees or things of that nature, but the distinction we like to make is a subrecipient. Okay. So here we basically can walk you through the entire process for what you'll need to do to get into eCivis, fill out your application, submit your reports, and then managing your awards, closing out your awards. Okay. So these tabs follow basically the structure of how you would do all this stuff. So applying for funding means, how do I set up my portal? How do I search for funding opportunities. How do I figure out how to submit my applications and things of that nature? And as Dan mentioned, we have really nice user guides. Maybe go ahead and bring one up here. It's going to walk you through the process for how you do all this stuff. What I really like about these user guides, if it would come up properly, here we go. Okay, what I really like about these user guides, and as you guys will see, is that they're full of screen captures. It shows you exactly, welcome to the portal. What are you going to see? Um, I want to show you this screen because that's where we're going to be going here in a second. Is that it'll show you exactly what you're going to see. We took these screen captures, so it'll mimic the exact process for walking you through what you need to do. So at the top here, we have our table of contents that's going to walk you straight through what you need for doing all these things, whether it's reviewing the solicitation, which means how do I get to it? How do I even get to the IoT solicitation that's out there? It'll walk you through that process, all the way through the information about that, all the way to creating your eCivis portal account. Okay, you hear that term eCivis portal. That's the door that the subrecipients use for filling out the application and submitting it and then managing their grants. If you hear the term eCivis Grants Network, that's the state side. That's what the state uses to build this application and then to receive your reports and things of that nature. So the eCivis portal is the terminology that you'll hear, and that's you. That's the door that you guys use as subrecipients. What's so nice about these user guides too, then it even has the link that'll take you directly to the eCivis portal so that you'll be able to follow screenshots and set up your account. That'd be the first thing they'll ask you to do is set up an account with eCivis. And as Dan mentioned, it's like buying off Amazon. It's really intuitive and very easy to follow. It's basically to set up your portal account. You'll fill out a asking you who you are and your email address and stuff like that. Be able to create an account at eCivis so that any future solicitations, you already have your account set up and you're good to go. So if you guys haven't had the opportunity to do that yet, I'd highly recommend going in there and at least setting up your account, okay? I'm going to leave this user guide up so that we can kind of refer to it as we're going through here and follow the steps that the user guide uses and how that relates exactly to what you're going to see as we're going through the portal. So again, here back on our resources for subrecipients, again, these are the tab structures that are going to follow you all the way through your process. So whether it's setting up your portal, submitting your financial reports, all the way to managing the awards. When you go to manage your awards, we have the information set up here under awards management. Really nice user guide here that's going to walk you through the process. This is how you can accept your award. Okay, you've been awarded. Congratulations. So now you need to accept that award. You need to submit activity reports. You need to submit financial reports. All that information for you here. We have user guides, longer ones that walk you through the process like we have here. We have quick reference sheets where short little quick ones where you can go and get key information for how you do specific functions on these, excuse me, the table of content. So it's quick references so you can do specific little quick functions. Just want to respond to a award. It'll quickly show you how to do that. So those quick reference sheets are great for going, oh, I can't remember that one little portion of it. Maybe the second or third time you're working on it. User guides will walk you through it. Quick reference sheets you can just quickly reference for specific items. And then the training videos are great because it's basically exactly what you're seeing right here. We've recorded those. So when you want to figure out how to accept a grant, it's going to show you the email that you're going to receive, how you can click on that email, where you click on the email, what you're going to see then when you go into the portal to accept your grant. It'll walk you through that whole process in a visual display with somebody narrating it too as well. So you'll be able to hear and see the process through its entirety, all the way through grant closeout. So like we said, this resource page here is going to be your it's going to be your home. It's going to be where you can find anything that you need from the beginning to the end. So from cradle to grave, we've got you covered when it comes for resources and things that you're going to need to fulfill the obligations that you have for closing out your grant, manage your grant. And then the training materials is basically a collaboration of all those different ones. So if you need to just go somewhere to find all the different information that we have posted for the entire process, that's what the training material is. It's a combination of all these different ones that we put together in each of the different phases that you go through. So lots of support for you guys to be able to go through here, okay? We also have right here on this page, it's actually in two locations. Under grants level management, again, the meat and potatoes of the dinner. We also have state grant opportunities here too as well. So you can get right to the opportunities that are available, that are being sponsored from the state, which is the IoT one here. And you can also get to it from the, remember, resources for subrecipients. That's you guys. Why we have it two spots is so that it's quickly and easy to find for folks. And we also like to have it here. So as you're going through here, we have all those resources right here on that same exact page, that one-stop shop of the website for you guys. So you can find your solicitation, you can get into it, and you can have all your support material right here with it. So hopefully you guys find the website to be valuable and, like I said, and easy and intuitive to find the information you're looking for. So let's dive into this application. Okay, it's right here. The GIS, the IoT GIS, is the application that we'll be looking at today, and that the application will be up until 2026. So quite a while. So by clicking on it here, it's going to take me right to the page where I have different information about the grant itself, which is, and I've got to throw a quick shout out to Karen. She did a fantastic job building this, okay? Any specific questions you have about the application itself, who is eligible, things of that nature, you can find out quickly and easily here. And she's done a wonderful job putting together a nice summary about the actual grant itself, which you can review that information right here. It gives you your time periods for doing everything, and it'll refer you to the NOFO for additional information. And I'll show you exactly where we have that. She's got lots of support information for this one. So I truly, truly believe that you guys are going to find submitting your application to be a piece of cake with the information that Karen's put out here, the guidance that we have, and just the simple intuitive nature of how the eCivis portal flows. You guys are going to find it to be very easy, maybe even easier than buying off of Amazon. I've even got tripped up there before. So yeah, wonderful job across the board here. So that's what's so nice is that we have this overview here. Then we have the eligibility tab. The eligibility tab is going to let you know who is eligible for that, and then any type of requirements. I know there might be some specific requirements about the eligibility for this grant, and Karen has done a wonderful job laying out all that information right here for you guys. Okay, so that you can follow along, find out some of the eligibility requirements that are associated with the grant. Even before we click on the apply button and get into it, you have all this wonderful information about the overview of it, the eligibility of it, the financials. Okay, what kind of money are we talking about? She's added wonderful information about how all the financials are going to work for that. The contact information, another key one here too, is that we mentioned before, if you had issues with, okay, David, I can't remember how to submit the report. What button do I click in the eCivis portal? That's a great question to ask me. If it's more of a question about, I'm not really sure how to answer question 7. Okay, that would be a great question to send to the contact information help here. And again, Karen's put together a really great resource here for everyone to take advantage of. The biggest one I want to show you guys too here is the files. These are the support files that you can use as you're going through the application itself, managing your grant and things of that nature. So remember we referred to the NOFA. Right here it is, okay, under Files tab. You can get the Notice of Funding Opportunity that has super information about anything you need, specific more details about this. What I really want to point out here too is all the wonderful examples she's built here too for when you're doing the budget. Okay, how's that going to work? When we're filling out the application itself, how is that going to look? One of the first things that's going to happen when we dive into eCivis is we're going to ask you to fill out a profile. So here's a wonderful example of the actual profile and how you want to fill those out. And she's even added what you guys become your subrecipients, meaning you've been awarded, congratulations, these grants. how to submit an activity report, what that's going to look like, what information do you need in your activity report? What information do you need in your financial report? Okay. She's put together just a great catalog of different examples here and files that guys can use to support all that. So I like it so much, I'm going to refer back to this. So remember I talked about when we first go into the portal, it's going to ask us, if it's our very first time, we're going to have to fill out a profile for eCivis so they know who we are. But the first time we get into the actual application, the first thing it's going to ask for is a profile. So let's take a look at Karen's awesome example here. And this is going to, again, show you the actual application that we're getting ready to dive into. But again, I wanted to show you guys, as soon as it loads here, I apologize. Our computers are running kind of slow at the state here today. But here's an actual example. Let me blow it up a little bit of what you guys are going to see when it comes to the application itself. This is going to be the first thing it asks for. This is going to be the application profile, not the profile for eCivis. So if you haven't created your account yet, the first thing eCivis will ask for is for you to create a profile so they know who you are. This is the profile so that IoT knows who you are. And there are some required fields that we'll walk through it here in a second. But again, I really want to show you guys just how Karen has built this so you guys can see specifically what kind of key information is needed. The beginning of it is pretty standard. It's ones that pretty much everyone uses, organizational information, things of that nature. And we'll blast through this here in a minute. But then it gets a little bit more into some more detailed information about that as the application gets more in depth and things of that nature. So here, when you get into the county data harvest coordination, here is examples where Karen has showed you the kind of information that you'll need for that, okay? And so this is very specifically towards your guys's application. So this is a wonderful resource right here that you can always refer back to as we're going through the application. If you have questions about specific things, it's going to lay out exactly what you guys need to take care of right here with that. So let me kind of dock that here for a second. So with a drum roll, let's go ahead and click on the apply button and get into what we're going to see. Here it is. And remember that user guide I was talking about? Look at that. The same exact cool screenshot. It shows you exactly where you're going, okay? So when we go into the eCivis portal, the first thing it's going to do is ask you to create an account if you've never been here before. So if you haven't been here before, you'll need to create an account before you can set up your passwords. And that's as simple and easy as what's your email address? It'll send you an email. You verify who you are. Then you can come back here and log into it. Again, you guys will want to log in using the portal login, okay? That the distinction is the grants network one is for state employees. That would be for the IoT group, excuse me, for the IoT group, okay? You guys, the terminology that I want you to get used to is eCivis portal. That is your guys' door for getting into these grants management. The grants network side is for the state employees to build these things. The portal account is for subrecipients to be able to access the application to submit it. And then you'll actually be in the same world to manage it too. So without any further ado, let's log into the eCivis portal. Awesome. This is what it looks like. Simple and easy, even actually simpler than Amazon. They have lots of buttons and things flashing everywhere. This is a really nice, simple interface that you guys are going to manage your submit your application, and then hopefully when you get awarded that, you're going to manage it all from right here too as well. Remember I talked about when you first log in that they're going to ask you to fill out a profile. This is where you can find your profile information here too as well. So when we create our new application, which is kind of a weirder term there, but that's how we're actually going to get to the application that we want to fill out is by clicking on that. And then those will be housed under my applications. So when you want to get back to your application, it'll be under your My Applications button there. It's going to bring up all your applications that you've used or filled out here at eCivis. I have quite a few because I'm a demonstrator. And then when you actually are awarded this and go from applicant to subrecipient, it's going to reside under your My Awards. So when you want to get to this, to manage this down the road, when you're awarded that contract, that's how you get to it. So simple, easy interface. You have your profile itself, who you are. You have your applications that you filled out and have submitted. or in a draft status, so you can come back and work on them if you need to. And then you have your awards that once you're awarded these contracts, you can go back and manage those, simple and easy to find that way. But the first thing we do, and as you guys will point out to you guys, is we want to click on create new application. Okay, what it's going to do now is it's going to set me up so I can actually fill out the application that the Karen and the IO team has built for me to put this across here. I'll need to log back into it because the first time I logged into eCivis. Now I'm actually logging into this program, the IoT GIS program. So it's going to ask you to log in again. And I got to warn you guys that if you are using that Safari, the Apple computers, the Safaris, which I personally love, this is where we had an issue with that. Okay, that's where you'll need to turn off that cross trafficking thing under your settings. And please refer back to the SBA website for that guidance for doing that too as well. So here now, I'm going to, thank goodness it remembered me. I'm going to log in so I can actually get to the application itself. Now I'm actually logging into the application. And remember, I said the first thing it's going to ask you to do is to create a profile. This is different. This is your eCivis profile. This is the profile when you create your account. They're going to ask you, who are you? And so this is the eCivis profile. This is the application profile. This is so IoT knows who you are. And that's the profile that, I hope I find there. Yeah, here. This is the profile that Karen has set up a really great screen capture of exactly how you'll need to fill out this application. Okay, you guys? And super resources between the user guides and these support files that Karen built. I am 100% confident you guys will not have a problem with the eCivis portal being able to access this and fill out this information. So let's jump right into it. Just by clicking on open, it'll take us directly to our application. Now it went and it pulled the information from my profile to fill out my first name and my last name, application type. There are some into required fields. And so those are the ones going to be marked with the little asterisks with those. So those will be ones that we'll have to complete. So again, this is kind of the standard ones that are set up so that the applicants, or excuse me, so that IoT knows who is applying for these different ones. Organizational information is SBA. Organizational type here would, for me, would be a state government. Taxpayer's number ID, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, is that I just want to make sure right now I'm just going to cover the ones that have an asterisk so that we can move on to the next steps that we need to take. Okay, here I was going to say no, because don't need that. Digitalization habits there. But again, these are ones that, if you have questions about what you want to put into this, okay, that's where, again, Karen's done a great job with this support information under the profile. This is the document that she has supplied that's going to give you the information for what you'll need to fill out for that. I just wanted to show you guys basically how to get to this, what to expect when you're going to see this. So right now I'm just going to kind of cruise through these ones here so I can get to the next step. Again, it looks like these aren't required. And so great. This is going to give you the information that you need to fill out for anything that has been required for this. So by creating Create Pro, again, I can save this as a draft and then come back to that. If you, okay, I'm not really quite sure about are you the data steward, who is, and things of that nature, you can always save this as a draft and come back to this, okay? But by hitting Create Profile, hopefully I got all the required information filled out on this. Oh, no, this field is required. And that's what's nice about that is that if it hasn't, if it is a required field, it'll come back and it'll tell you that this is required. You cannot create your profile yet because this is required information. So now when I create my profile, perfect. I have my profile created. It knows exactly who I am. And now I'm ready to actually get into the application itself and the budget. There's two parts to the application. Remember, you have your application and your budget. So let's real quick go back to, remember, those cool files that Karen has associated with that. We did the profile, and we have examples of that. So now we want to look at the application itself. Let's see what we're going to see here in a second. So here is the actual screen captures that Karen's put together of the actual application. Remember, we've done our profile. So now we're going to do the application itself. This is what it's going to look like. Okay. And Karen has key information in here about any specifics that you guys might need to know. This is a great resource that you guys can go to find out that information. So I'm showing you how to get there. Karen's showing you what to put in there. And as you see, the interface is very intuitive and actually easy to use. So great examples of that. So let's get into the actual application itself. Your profile has been completed. Now I can always go back and edit that if I need to. Okay, it's, say maybe, oh, I forgot to add this part to my profile. I can always go back and edit my profile and update that information. But to get to the application now, as eCivis tells you here, if you have a blue bar here, that means you need something to complete. If there's red, that means there was an issue, something went wrong. And if it's gray, that means it's been completed, okay? That there's no actions needed on your part. And we'll show you that here as I go through the process. So now we want to do the application process itself. So to get to that, I simply click on application, and then it's going to take me to the actual application. Okay, so it's going to tell you that there's only 433 90 days remaining. You better hurry up. That little joke there. But no, the way it's set up is it's rolling like this. But it'll tell you the information about when you need that to get that taken care of. And here's the application. Okay, so to get into that, all I need to do is click on open, and it's going to take me to that application itself. And as you saw, this looks exactly like what Karen has put together there. Okay, so like for the application project title, it could be David, and then you probably will want to put the county, I'd imagine. Again, please refer back to Karen's information on her sheet about what you'll need to put into these specific fields, okay? I'm just here to show you guys how easy it is to get to this and how to actually submit it. And when it comes down to the information that goes into these are specific questions for IoT and their group. But again, with Karen's support documentation, remember, I'll keep going back to it, you can always find right here on the SBA website under Files, the Files tab is going to give you that key information for what you need to put into these different fields that's being asked by IoT if you ever get lost. So here, obviously, Marion, that happens to be my county. Oops. Organizational name would be SBA in this case. So again, it looks like there's not too much required here for me to fill out. I just wanted to show you guys how to get to it. As you see, it's simple and easy to follow the intuitive steps in the eCivis portal to get to these applications. So I'll just kind of click through it right now. Estimated cost, just to throw in some numbers here to show you again how easy it is to get through this, the application itself. Any information that you need to add into these ones. As Dan and I had mentioned, it's as simple and easy as basically filling out something that you're going to do for Amazon. I mean, it's either checking text boxes, filling out required fields, hitting radio buttons for different things. Oops. Any kind of information that you need to fill out for this application, this is what to expect, guys. This is how easy it is. Whether it's putting into these text fields that Karen and her group have built, whether it's filling out radio buttons, things of that nature, all this stuff is simple and easily done. And again, I can't say enough about what a wonderful job Karen did putting together support information about what to put into these things. I'm positive you guys are going to find it's a little more work in what you're going to put into this box as opposed to getting to the box and typing it into there. So the hardest work for you guys is going to be filling out these things, not getting to them and not clicking the submit buttons and things of that nature. Okay. So again, we call this project David Marion for maybe we'll say Marion IoT dash GIS as a name, some kind of nice identifier. But if there's anything needed for the application title, please refer back to Karen's notes and she'll let you know exactly how you should name this process. I just wanted to name it something so I knew it. So when I go to do my budget, it'll reference that too as well. So it's going to be David's Marion IoT GIS project. And again, as you see, guys, it's as simple and easy as either clicking on buttons for here, filling out text box fields, radio buttons that you need to choose from. Karen's documentation will walk you through that process. So if there's things that have stumped you, you can always save that as a draft. But then you might be thinking, well, Dave, if I save as a draft, how do I get back to that? Simple and easy, guys. Remember, it's an application. It's going to be listed under your applications. Very easy, intuitive, small work group or workspace that the eCivis portal is made up of. If it's an application and you save it as a draft, you can always go back to your applications and find it right there. When it gets awarded, you guessed it, it's going to be right under your awarded tabs. You can get right to your awarded different grants or programs so you can easily manage those inside the eCivis portal. So we're really happy with our application itself. We've checked Karen's reference guide and we looks like we've fulfilled everything that she's asked for in there. So now we're ready to mark this as complete. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll show you the next process for what's going to happen. Okay. Now here's a big caveat that I want to throw out to everybody is that there is a budget portion attached to this too as well, okay? So before you hit submit, what you want to do is we want to get to the application budget, and that's going to be right down here as well too. So here now is our application budget that we're going to need to fill out with this too as well. So before you go to the application itself, because it's been completed and it does have submit, you want to make sure that you fill out the application budget too as well, okay? And it's going to pop up down here. It's not titled yet because we haven't opened it and we haven't completed it. But as soon as we complete it, it'll pull the title from the application and it'll be listed down here as a titled budget that when you submit, it'll pull the application, the profile, and the budget, and all that gets submitted over to IoT. But it's very important to remember the budget portion. That's one thing I want to definitely highlight today was that not only do you need to fill out the profile, and then that'll take you to the application itself. Before you click submit, please make sure that you fill out your application budget. Now, before we dive into the budget, because this is a great one, the application itself is pretty straightforward, but there's some key specifics. So absolutely make sure that you download this application, have it up on that extra screen, print it, however you want to do it. So as you're going through there, you have that awesome reference that was developed. Here's an example of the budget. So again, I want to have this on my other screen, or I want to print this out. So as I'm going through the budget, if I have any issues about well, what are the requirements for the budget on this? How am I supposed to fill this out again? Excellent screenshot example, straight from a budget that was developed specifically for this application, how you guys can get through this. This is going to be the top part of it. We're going to see here in a second about this is going to be a summary of everything that you actually put into your budget items. And then here we're getting to the different settings. So when we go to the personnel, how are we going to fill that out? How is that going to be utilized? That's going to be one of the budget items that we need to take care of. The fringe benefits, how are those going to be? How are we going to fill that out? Which I'm going to show you that here in a second too as well. Supplies. When you have your office supplies, here they're telling you, please put a description for the different things that you need from that, but it's going to go into our budget narrative, okay? I'm going to show you guys where that is too as well. Any software that you're going to use, okay? Put in your information for the cost of that, and then our budget narrative, we're going to describe that information, what we want to put into those, why we're putting those certain numbers into there. This is all going to make super sense to you guys in a second too, when I show you a little bit more about the budget itself. But I wanted to show you this because Karen did a great job putting together exactly what you're going to see. And here's that budget narrative, okay? This is going to be part of the budget. We're going to fill out the information for number-wise, and then we're going to actually have a narrative explaining why we put those numbers into there the way we did. When it comes to personnel, as she tells you, be specific and show how these salaries are determined, gives you formulas for determining all that stuff. Make sure this is key, you guys, to put this into your budget narrative, your fringe benefits, okay? She gives you a breakdown of exactly how to fill all that out, okay, when it gets to your budget narrative. So I can't say this enough. This is just super, super stuff right here that you can always go back and reference as you're filling out your budget portion of the application. So let's see exactly what that looks like. Okay, now we want to do my budget. Again, it hasn't been named yet because I haven't filled it out, but it'll be right here under budget application. Just please remember, there's really two parts to the application. There's the application itself, which we have completed. I can always go back and edit if I needed to. And then there's the application, excuse me, the application budget. Okay. And to get to that, under the actions button, the little hamburger, pancake, I don't know, I've heard so many different terms of that thing. When you click on that, it's going to allow you to edit your budget. So now this is going to bring me to the actual budget, okay? And this is an example, screenshots of exactly what Karen provided. So it's going to do your calculations for you too as well, right up here for any of your direct costs and things of that nature. So remember, one of the first things we had was personnel, I believe was one of the ones. So by clicking on this, it's going to open up here where I can put in my costs for my personnel. So here, if I'm, personnel will put in $1,000. Again, this is just rounded numbers. I'm not really quite sure, what specifics you're going to put into these areas. I just wanted to show you guys how easy it is to fill this out and how that relates back to, again, fringe benefits. That was another one of the columns that we used. So maybe we have a cost here of $500. But again, all this is going to be broken down under our budget narrative for how to explain that different stuff, whether it was personnel, fringe benefits, I forget, I apologize. The other ones, let me go back to her thing here real quick. So know there was one that had a little bit of a breakdown with a couple lines. Perfect. Supplies, okay? I want to show you guys how you can do these supplies, how easy it is for doing that. So we have office and software, okay? So here under supplies, when I click on that, here what I can do is my title here is going to be, remember we had office and we had software. So this could be my office supplies, and that's going to be the cost of, say, $500. And now I need software. So by clicking add a row, I can simply and easily put in, if I spell it correctly, software, and that's going to be maybe $250. Okay, so it's going to be it's simple and easy for you guys to build that. Any other descriptions you can put right into here too as well. So if it's software, maybe these are licensed software or anything that you need from that, any extra information for the description, you can throw that in there too as well. And like I said, on the very top, it's going to give you a breakdown of you do the math for you, which is really nice. So whatever you put into here, this is where a little summary of as you're going through this. Okay, so you go through what IoT has laid out in their awesome user guide, and again, our user guides show you the same exact same process too as well. But they've built so if you have questions about what do I put in under some of these things, it'll tell you exactly what you need to put into it. The big key is this program narrative, okay? This is what, remember, I'm going to refer back to it one more time here. This is where Karen has put down the information about what you need to put into this budget narrative. It's important you fill out your budget narrative to explain those numbers you put into there, okay? And that's where this is going to be done. So it's the personnel, the fringe benefits, things of that nature. Please refer back to this information so you know exactly, like the personnel, specifically how the salaries were determined. It gives you a complete breakdown for how to do that, okay? And that's where you do it, is in this budget narrative right here. So this is that information that's being asked for all those different categories, why we put in those numbers the way we did as we were completing our budget. So now we have everything basically the way we want it. We have our information put into here for the numbers that we're going to be asking for. We have our explanations for all those different ones right here in our budget narrative. Okay, so now we can, if we're happy with it, we can go and see exactly. They'll give you a breakdown. Okay, this is the money that you're asking for. These are your totals and things of that nature. And it'll tell you how you broke it all down. It'll have the budget narrative explaining all those numbers. So now we can just save those changes. So description must be between, okay, supplies, oh, okay. I forgot to put in, sorry about that. When I put in, I didn't leave anything for a description. It's asking me, see, you need to put in something for the description. So it could be title of software or something. Whatever you need to add for that software. It could be anything you want, but it does ask you to put something in there to give it some time of description. And again, each of this is great because if you make a little boo-boo somewhere, it is going to say something to you about No, you need to fill out that. That's a required field. You need to put something into the description, Dave. Don't forget about that. So it's nice little double checks for that. So now we should be happy with everything. So we'll hit save changes. And this is where you can put in an extra note. If you want to send a note explaining things about this, maybe who was completed by. This would be a good place to put in some contact information. Completed by whoever completed this information. So if they have questions, they say, "Oh, we need to get back to Dave about his budget." You can throw in any kind of extra information. It's an extra note that'll be sent over, helping explaining anything else with that. So I'm hitting save. My budget has now been successfully saved. Gives you even a little checkbox, and way to go, Dave, you did it. So it tells me everything's been completely safe for that. So now I actually want to return to my application. So by clicking on that will take me back to my application itself. Now, again, I'll have to log into it because I basically now have completed everything. And even when you look down at my budget now, see, it's David's Marion IoT GIS budget. It gives me my total that I'm requesting for. It gives me the date that I was created and my status. It's a draft. It means I have not sent that over yet. I haven't. I could still go back and edit that budget if I needed to. Say something came up and they're like, hey, before you submit that, let's ask for another $500 for additional software. Don't forget to put in the description. So you can always go back and edit that budget until you submit your report. So until you submit this, you always have the ability to go back and edit anything. You can edit your profile, you can edit your application, you can actually edit your budget, everything you need to do until you actually submit the application. So now everything's set and ready to go. I've got my application built, I've got my profile built, I've got my budget built. So let's log back into it now. Again, now I'm logging back into my application itself. Log in. Cool. Okay, so now it takes me right back to, again, these screens I'm very, very familiar with by now. I've got my profile built. I can still go back and edit it if I needed to. I've got my application right here, and it's in blue, which means there's still something to do. Red means something's gone wrong. Get a hold of Dave. Let's get this worked out. If it's gray, that means that there's no action required. You've completed everything you needed to do for that application. So let's go into the application itself. And I had a feeling you guys would know what you're going to see. Now we have that submit button there again, so we can actually submit this application. Okay. We have the application itself. If I need to go back and to edit that application, it's telling me it's completed, but I can still go back and edit that if I need to. I haven't clicked submit yet. When I click submit, you're going to lose that edit button. Okay. That means it's been sent over. You guys completed your work. And so we won't be editing it any longer. But again, until you hit submit, you can always go back and edit your application. Maybe you were reviewing Karen's notes before you submit it and realized, oh, I forgot to put the title of the county in there or something. Key information that you need to do. You have your budget still down here. It's in the draft status. You know exactly which it is. It's now named. It pulled that name from my application to name my budget. I can always go back and edit my budget if I need to as well, because I haven't clicked submit yet. So once you're happy with it, then you'll actually be able to submit the budget itself. Okay. So I'll go ahead and submit it and then show you guys what it's going to do. It doesn't change too much. It basically just tells you this has been submitted. Okay. And as you see here now, my application, I can view it, but I can no longer edit it. It's been submitted over to IoT. You've completed your work. You've taken care of that. The budget itself here has been actually been sent over to with it as well. So now you basically have completed everything you needed to do for this. Okay. So if you need to find that again, if you need to, as I said, as you're saving this draft, is always going to be under my applications too as well. So if I click on that, again, you're going to see a lot of them here because I'm a demonstrator. And so these are different ones, David's test, David's children's, different ones that I've created before, but now here would be what you guys would see. And that's why I wanted to submit this. I'll go ahead and delete it so it doesn't mess up Karen's things later. But I wanted you guys to see how easy it is. Again, you won't see all those ones. This is a demo environment that I'm using. All you're going to see is the IGIO one here, and that it's under review. and you know that you've submitted it because it's under review. One thing I can show you here is that if I was still working on it, and again, these are demo ones, you guys won't see this, I promise. You'll just see one right there, and it'll say draft, okay, as you're going back to it. Remember I said you can always save it as a draft and come back to it just by clicking on my applications. It'll be listed just that one. Again, the demo account, there's lots here that you guys won't see this. It'll say draft. The one that you guys will see after you've submitted it will be under review, okay? And so that means you've completed everything, you've sent it over to Karen's team, they're analyzing it, and then hopefully, I'm pulling for you, soon you're gonna see awarded, okay? You're gonna, we'll get into that downstream, the next meetings, but to give you a quick heads up, what's gonna happen is that they're going to review it and go, wow, this is just awesome. These guys are great. We're gonna send them an award. So you receive an email telling you, hey, congratulations, you've been awarded. And then under your applications, it'll be under becoming awarded. So you can always get to it that way. It'll actually, even once you get awarded, push it over to my awards. Again, there's a bunch here. This is a demo. You guys would just have one, and it'd be a status of awarded. So you can always get to it when you're going to manage your grants. I won't jump into that yet. That'll be once you guys get that grant, which I know you're going to get. The next time or two of demonstrations, when you get awarded, we'll put on another presentation to show you guys how easy it is, excuse me, to manage your awards right here, all the way to close out. Here's when I've actually closed out. So you have a history of that entire process, from the application to submitting your application to getting the award to managing the award to closing out your grant, all right here in your little eCivis workspace, all saved. It's no longer on people's hard drives all over your agencies. It's all going to be right here, simply and easily for you guys to be able to reference and get to. I can't say enough. One of the things about that's my favorite part of eCivis. It just pulls it all into a nice little manageable workspace for you guys to be able to control, whether it's doing the application process, whether it's doing the awarded process, or your my profile. Again, this is the one, the eCivis profile, that gives you a breakdown of who you are. So simple, easy interface, even easier than Amazon, in my opinion. So whether it's who am I, what applications am I working on, what awards am I managing, it's all right here in the workspace. And again, back here on the SBA website, these are the files under grant opportunities for the specific one that we just walked through that are awesome. Make sure you guys, when you're submitting these, that you take the time to download these, have it on another screen, print it, however it works for you best. So as you're going through your budget, you'll see exactly how you want to handle that. When you're going through your application, exactly how to answer those questions. Whether it's your profile itself, which is a little more advanced than a lot of just generic profiles. Great for handling that. She's even gone as far as, once you get awarded, when you get awarded these ones, your examples of your activity and financial reports, that's how you'll be submitting those once you get awarded these ones. So please, please, please check out this information before you click that apply button. Make sure you have that downloaded somewhere so you can reference this as you're applying for that. Again, we're going to have this, I'll go back to the beginning of it, budget state agency, next level grants management, which is going to become just grants management in the future. When you click on this, here's the meat and potatoes of everything, you guys. How to even get to eCivis, login guidance. Whether you need to contact us about questions, contact grants management team, non-state employee, shoot Dave a question, go, Dave, I completely forgot how you do this one portion, how to submit this. Oh, no problem. How to get to Karen's files again? Oh, no problem. I'll show you exactly how to get there, okay? The grants management workshops, which are basically kind of generic versions of what I just went through, but you can always attend these grants management workshops for, remember, you guys are applicants, subrecipients. That's the terminology that we use for you guys, for people that are receiving state money for non-state entities. You guys would be an applicant, soon become subrecipients once you get those awards. We have great workshops that will walk you through the process, starting with how to create your account, submitting your reports, then actually closing those out. And it's a 3-week or a 3-part series, so you can always come back. It's going to recycle after November 21st. It'll go back to training session 1 again. These are great too, because you can always, the first 5 minutes of it is any questions. So no matter where we're at in the cycle, if you want to pop into the next one we're going to have on November 7th at 1 o'clock and go, hey, this has nothing to do with this, but I need a quick question from you, Dave. No problem. pop in. We can answer those questions for you. Great way to get one-on-one dialogue for that. But again, the real meat and potatoes, the T-bone of the meat and potatoes is resources for subrecipients. Again, that's you guys, okay? You guys are the applicants, soon to be subrecipients once you get awarded, where it'll walk you through the whole process. The user guide is going to walk you through how to apply for it. Award management is going to walk you all the way through how you manage those awards, how you submit those financial reports, how you take care of amendments if you need to submit an amendment. All that information is right here, all the way through grant closeout, okay? And then again, the grant opportunities all listed right here. Here's the IoT one. And again, I can't stress enough, make sure you guys review these tabs. Make sure you are eligible for this. Make sure that the financials are right for you. If you need to get a hold of, IoT for specific questions about it, here's their contact information. And this one, the gold star, is the files, the things you need associated with this. You've got the notebook right here for any more detailed information about it. You have just wonderful screenshot examples how to walk you through this whole process. I hope you guys have found that the work that SBA has done, and specifically the work that IoT has done to build this application and build a support material for that, is going to make the process of submitting this super easy for you guys. Super easy. So I've said an awful lot. I hope that you guys, again, have found this, if not as easy, easier than Amazon for submitting these applications and then actually managing your entire award grant right here in the eCivis portal. Absolutely nothing to be afraid of. Yeah. So is there any questions that you guys have, whether it's about the website, the portal of eCivis, contact information? Is there anything that I can answer for you guys before I'll turn this back over to Dan and Karen? Well, like with my children, I'll say that silence is golden. So I hope that really is because you guys are going, whew, that's not as scary as I thought it was going to be. Excellent, excellent. So again, kudos to Karen and her group for putting together awesome support material. Hope you guys find the website to be very supportive too as well for any of the process that you need to do, whether it's contacting us, getting extra resources. Hopefully we've built a nice little one-stop shop for you guys. So again, stop sharing here. So yeah, I
Looks
really
like we
appreciate
do
the
have
time.
a question in the chat, Dave.
Oh, we do? Okay. How do you
Yep,
add a
Steve
vendor?
Leatherman.
How do you add a vendor to the county subrecipient team? Okay, so when you what I'm in the eService portal here, if I want to add somebody to this during the application process, you'll have to do that offline, so to speak. Is that when you're submitting your application until you're awarded, one person will be handling submitting the application. Okay. Now, once you do get awarded the contract, you will be able to actually bring in team members to that. So if you need to bring in somebody to manage the contract, maybe you see you have a vendor that's going to work with you for submitting reports or something of that nature. I'll give you a quick peek into what you're going to see here. Is that what you can actually do is you can actually invite team members. So it's actually a great question because again, during the application process, this is all done by one entity. One entity is going to be submitting that. So if you need to refer to other vendors to answer a question, you still be the one submitting that. But once we get awarded the contract, there's a button here called Manage Project Team. This is where you can actually build your team to help you manage this project. So here, by clicking on that, will bring me to an interface where I can invite people into my eCivis workspace.
Hey,
The
Dave,
nice thing about that too, oh, I'm sorry, Dan,
I,
go ahead.
I just, if you have something on your screen you're wanting to show, you're not sharing your screen at the
Oh,
moment. I wasn't sure at first, but you referenced a couple of things, made me think that.
yes, yes. No, thank you, Dan. Thank you. I'm a complete idiot. Yeah. I said I'll give you a peek to what it's going to look like. Yeah, I forgot to click the share button to give you that peek to what it looks like. Yeah. So let me go back here really, really quickly. And so again, as I was saying, during the application process, that's just your agency. If you need to refer to other people, you need to do that kind of offline, but you can always upload that support documentation with that. But when you're awarded the contract, now that I'm actually showing the screen showing this, When you're awarded the contract, you can build a team to help you do that. So if the county needs to bring in a vendor to your subrecipient team, once you're awarded, there's a button right here called Manage. Now that you guys can see it, now it's called Manage Project Team. And this is a simple, easy way that you can send an email invitation to anyone, whether they're in your agency or not, by clicking on Add Team Member. Here is going to send an email to them so they can be incorporated into this eCivis workspace for that award, just that award. The nice thing about it too is it's free. There's no charge to adding people into your workspace environment in the eCivis portal. There's no charge back to IoT or anything of that nature. So when you guys build your award team, there's vendors that you need to bring in for your county to help support. Simple and easy, that's how you do that right there. Just by clicking on the email and then add team member, we'll send an email invitation to them so they can join your team. Yeah. Hopefully that explained that situation. And Dan, thanks about sharing the screen. Surprised I didn't have mute on the whole time going. Oops. Any other questions, you guys? Great question. Great question. Again, the only distinction about team members, guys, is the application process, which makes sense because it's you guys filling out the application and submitting it. Is done by you, just one person. But then when it comes to managing the application, or managing the grant itself, you can bring in other team members. Maybe one person you're from a finance division, program division, any outside vendors that are assisting with things like that. Invite them into your workspace. Yep. Is that a question? Is this meeting being recorded and recorded? Yes, this meeting is being recorded. Yes.
And Monica, I will say that we do plan to put this on the grants hub page, a link to the recording. Once it's finalized and released to us, we'll add that to the Data Harvest grants hub page.
Thanks, Karen. And please excuse the part where I'm sitting there going, and if you look on this screen and I didn't share the screen, just ignore that part in the recording, you guys. That didn't happen. Maybe we can edit that out, Karen, somehow. Yeah. Well, that's all I have, you guys, for my demonstration portion. So good. I hope you guys have found it to be a relief that it doesn't seem as scary as it sounds.
Great. Thank you, David. And I think that wraps up the formal part of our presentation. Unless there's any other questions, Karen, I turn over to you to any final thoughts to close us out, and we'll wrap up for the day.
All right. Well, thank you both for putting on such a great presentation. I added some links and some documents to the chat as the meeting was starting, some links to the web pages that David was mentioning as he was talking. I also added the newsletter that I attached to the meeting invitation and the one-page grant flyer, which has access to all of the different links and all of the different places where you can find more information. But please don't hesitate to reach out to the GIO grants .iot.in.gov email address, and those will come directly to our team, and we'll respond to those as quickly as we can. If you need any more information about some of the requirements as far as the VEP validation reports or the knowledge question assessment, please feel free to reach out about those as well. So those are kind of unique to our grant opportunity, and we're happy to provide more information as needed. I think okay. That's all that I have. Yes, Tom put in the chat about asking to see if we could send an email when the recording's available, and yes, I will definitely do that. Okay.
Great.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys so much.
You.
Have a great day.
Bye.